Oh, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to London, World Creativity Day. Well, I'm not in London actually. I should have actually said I'm actually in Cape Canaveral. We're launching a thing this week called the hashtag Rocket Kids Club. A safe place for kids and their creative carers, which might be their parents, might be their teachers, it might be an auntie, an uncle, or somebody who cares for them in any shape or form, who cares about them and their creativity and all our futures. It's going to be an online place. We're going to do a weekly TV show rather like this, but until the launch we're doing 2 sessions a day. Every day at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock we're doing a half-hour session. We're setting a creativity activity in the morning and then we're reviewing it at 2 o'clock, and we're going to get kids to share their stuff on social media. We're going to get them to Skype in. Going to be absolutely fantastic. I'm a dad, I'm making this up as I go along, and what I want to do now is cut back to the presentation, to the talk that we did earlier, and cut back to that and leave it with you for the rest of the day. As I say, it's the hashtag Rocket Kids Club, live and direct from us here in London in the hashtag Community Lock-in, celebrating World Creativity Day. Let's roll. All over the world who could be watching it live on YouTube. And do you know what? I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert like these people that make rockets at NASA here. I'm just a dad. And there's a book here about dads like me. It's called My Dad's a Birdman. And that is an amazing story about a dad who wanted to fly. And he covered himself in feathers. And he tried to fly over the River Tyne in Newcastle. And do you know why he really did it? Because he knew he wasn't really a bird. He knew really he couldn't fly. But he wanted to inspire his little girl, his daughter. He wanted her to think that she could fly as high as she wanted to go in life. She could achieve her dreams. And that's what the Rocket Kid Club is all about. It's all about dads and mums and what we call creative carers. People who care about you. It could be a mum, it could be a dad, it could be an auntie, an uncle, it could be somebody who cares for you somewhere else. It could be the people if you're in school today, if you're a key worker, if you've got a parent who's a key worker, that means they care because their job might be in the NHS, their job might be in the police, their job might be on the bins, because those people care enough to work at times like this when it's very, very dangerous. And if you're in a school now, I'd like you to look around you, not at the walls, not at all the pictures, not at the piano if you've got a piano, but look at all those amazing teachers who are here today looking after you. Because they've got families and they'd probably like to be at home today really because their families need them as much as you, but they care about you and that's why they're there for you today, and they're what we call carers. So every Thursday we have a big clap and we clap for carers like that. People who care in the NHS, and that's why they're there for you today, and they're what we call carers. So every Thursday we have a big, everybody who's still working hard and risking it. And all these people here at NASA, they're working hard because they want to make the world a better place. It's hot out here in Florida, blimey. They want to make the world a better place. And they're making rockets to go to the moon, to try and get to Mars, to find new ways of living and new ways of growing and new places to live. So they're aiming high, they're aiming as high as this dad in this book. And that's what we want you to do, because the Rocket Kids Club is all about kids and their creative carers like you, and you, and you, and you dad, and you auntie, and you teacher, and you dinner lady, and you bin man, and you nurse, and you politician, and you Mr. Johnson, the Prime Minister. We know you care and we want you to work hard for us. Everybody, please. So that's what today's all about, the Rocket Kids Club. For people who care about you so that you can aim high, but not just high, not this high. If you're watching this now, can you all reach as high as you can? Oh my goodness, I'm reaching as high as I can. Oh, and now reach higher. Oh, that wasn't so hard, was it? Reaching a little bit higher wasn't so hard. Gosh, well, that's what this is all about, trying as hard as you can and not being afraid of epic fails. Epic fails, not being afraid of failing, because failing, as long as you're safe, And as long as you're trying to do something that's sensible and not silly and not dangerous, because flying across a river would be a bit silly, wouldn't it, if you didn't have proper wings and things and motors and people there to catch you and help you and boats to rescue you, that would be dangerous and very silly. You need to fly high, you need to try, and you need to aim higher than high. And that's what the Rocket Kid Club is going to be all about when we launch it properly on Friday. So, today is a very special day because today is World Creativity Day. Creativity. I wonder what creativity is. What do you think it could be? Ask your friend or somebody sitting by you, a parent at home, a carer at home, or a parent or somebody at school there. Or if you're in school, ask the people sitting beside you. Ask them what they think creativity is. I'll give you 10 seconds. I'm going to have my breakfast, finish my breakfast. I'm going to finish my breakfast. I've got breakfast on the go here. It's called a power breakfast, a power space rocket engineer breakfast. It's called a banana on Earth, I think. So 6 seconds left. Did you come up with any? Creativity. What do you think creativity is? Well, we'll get people Skyping in later on. We'll ask you if you want to answer questions like this at 2 o'clock when we come back. We're going to tell you the secret address of our Skype account. And Skype means you can call us and come up on the screen in video and tell us what you think, whether you're a parent, an artist, a creative, a technologist, a rocket scientist, or a carer, or whatever. And that hashtag, or that Skype account, is called Community Lock-In. Community Lock-In, all one word. And we'll put this up on our website later on, but that's the secret, so don't tell anybody else. Because what we're going to do now, in the next 10 or 15 minutes, is we're going to talk about creativity, and we're going to look at some creative things that you could do. And then at 2 o'clock, we're going to look on the internet and see what you have done. Using the hashtag Rocket Kids Club and hashtag World Creativity Day, we're going to look on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook for all the pictures you've done, of work you've done, and we're going to show them to everybody. And you could Skype in and tell us all about it if you want to, which would be fantastic. Oh my goodness, it's hot. Nobody told me it'd be this hot in Florida. Gosh, Cape Canaveral's a hot place, and I don't know how they do it with all their overalls on. So, creativity. Well, lots of people have different thoughts about what creativity is, but one thing's for sure, it's very, very important. Creativity, some people say, is as important as literacy and reading. It's as important as being able to read. Because being able to read books like My Dad's a Birdman is very important. But reading is not enough. You need to be able to do something with the knowledge that you get from reading. And creativity is what we call a skill. It's a skill that lets you use the knowledge that you get from books and from learning at school and from watching videos on YouTube and going to the cinema and watching television and BBC Bite Size and the Oak Academy that was launched yesterday. All that knowledge is brilliant, but you need skills to do something with that knowledge. And creativity is one of those skills. In fact, creativity is what we call a 21st century skill. A critical skill. It's a skill that you are going to need when you grow up. Not just to survive this world of technology and bioscience and all these cool things. Not just to survive it, but to thrive in it. And that's why creativity is so important. Now, creativity is like a muscle. Not one of these muscles, and if you don't use these muscles very much, and I haven't because I haven't been getting very much exercise these last few weeks, so I've been working quite hard, your muscles go like mine, all jelly. Can you see that's all like jelly there? Now your brain is a muscle. Who wants their brain to turn to jelly? Who wants their brain to fall out of their ear if they're not careful? Well, don't worry, it's not going to really, but all muscles, including your brain, have to be used. And if you don't use your creativity, if you don't use your brain, it's not very strong. It's not very exciting. It's not very imaginative. It's not very creative. And you won't be able to come up with new ideas. Because creativity is all about having new ideas. Once upon a time, somebody learned to make rockets. proper rockets like the one here you see at the back at Cape Canaveral in America, launched by NASA, North America Space Authority, I think it stands for. I don't think it does. I'm going to have to look that up again. That was a bit silly, wasn't it? Just guessing things randomly. If you can find out what NASA stands for, maybe you could share that on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, because I know it's not what we think it is. The people who made those rockets and these rockets started with blank pieces of paper. A blank sheet of paper, just like that. And they turned a blank sheet of paper into a rocket. And these are the instructions for our paper rockets. So simply you can turn those instructions into a rocket, just like that. And that's called creativity, because you're making something. You're not just buying it off the internet, getting it from the shops, finding it in your cupboard and playing with it. You're making it. You are creating it. And we've got a hashtag in the whole country in Britain with the Arts Council, and it's hashtag Let's Create. Let's create is a very, very important thing to do. So hashtag Let's Create. So that's what creativity is. Creativity is making something that wasn't there before. Something that wasn't there before. So that rocket up there wasn't there before until they made it. This rocket wasn't here until I made it out of paper. And the other ingredients and secret things I used to make this rocket are the top thing. My top tip to you today is get some of this. That is masking tape. And the good thing about masking tape is that you don't need scissors. You can just rip it. You can just rip it. Don't pull it because it's a bit stretchy and it won't break. Just rip it like that. And there are 3 bits of tape for me to use later. Masking tape. Now if you've got an uncle or an auntie or a dad or granddad or grandma or somebody or a friend who's a decorator, they get this at work, so see if they'll lend you some of that. Well, not lend, because they're not going to get it back, are they? Maybe they'll get half of it back. If you know somebody who's an electrician, whoa, electricians, what do? They're engineers, really. They make things with electricity, or make things work with electricity, or mend things when they're not right or they don't work. They put wires into rooms and put wires on things like rockets like that. They have something called insulation tape, and that stops the electricity getting out. Now this is lovely tape to use for decorating rockets, but guess what this is made out of? This is made out of plastic. Now we don't want to fill the world with plastic and rubbish. We don't want to just waste this. So whenever we use this tape, we have to cut this with scissors. We only ever use little bits. And we never use tape once. We use it on things we're going to use time and time again. So my rocket, I'm going to keep my rocket for a long time. So I'm going to put a piece of yellow tape around the top there to make it look really cool. So that's what we call not single-use plastic, because single-use plastic is horrible things like plastic bottles that you throw away. Now this is a plastic bottle I got some juice in one day because I was out and I had to buy a drink, but I kept the bottle and I fill it up and I use it when I'm at Cape Canaveral. I think it's Bob the Builder who used to say reduce the amount of waste materials you use, reduce the amount of plastic you use, reduce, reuse, use it again, and recycle. When you have finished with this bottle, when the top breaks or the bottle's got holes in it, put it in the recycling and it can be ground up and they can make another one. Reduce, reuse, recycle. So all the projects we do, we have to think very carefully about the environment, because one thing we're learning at the moment is how important it is to look after the world and Mother Nature. Because the coronavirus, in a way, is a bit like nature biting us back and saying, hey you don't look after me properly. I want you to look after the world properly in the future, because that's how germs and viruses and diseases can spread if you're not careful. So one thing we have to learn is to look after the world and all the environment and the natural resources that the earth and nature give us. Where was I? Creativity. So today is World Creativity Day. And what we're going to do today is I want to give you a simple activity. I want you to unleash your creativity. I want you to do all sorts of creative things. But the main thing I want you to do is make something with a piece of paper that can fly. And it doesn't have to be a rocket. This is quite a hard rocket. We'll do these on Friday, I think. I'm not going to make a rocket today. What I want you to do today is to make a paper aeroplane. But not just any special paper airplane. I want it to be the best paper airplane you've ever made in your life. I want your paper airplane to go higher than high. I want you to aim higher than higher to make a rocket. And I don't want anybody to say, oh, I can't do that. I don't know how to make paper aeroplanes. Because if you're watching this, there's somebody who cares for you near you now who can help you. Somebody who could help you a little bit, but not do it. We mustn't say, oh, I can't do it. I don't know how to use scissors. Scissors are quite hard. I don't know how to cut. It's not cutting it. Don't do that. Learn. And if you've got friends with you in school or brother or sister, ask them. And that's called collaboration. Working together. Collaboration. So be sure to try that. So to make an aeroplane, I've got lots and lots of rubbish on my desk here. Lots of rubbish, so I'm going to create a little bit of space. Would you like to see my desk? I've got a special desk set up here at Cape Canaveral, and if I press that button there, you might be able to see it. Let's have a look. Whoa, that's my desk. I've got lots of computer mice on my desk here at Cape Canaveral. I've got that book you just saw there, and I've got, what have we got over there? We've got some mice, we've got more mice. Look at all those mice we've got over there. I've got 3 computer mice there. I wonder why I've got 3 mice. Well, I've got 3 laptops over there. Can you see those laptops? Those are 3 laptops. And when you Skype in later on, your face will come up on there. I can then press a button on this Cape Canaveral style mixer desk, and I will be able to mix you up so you come up on a little window there. I don't know if you can see it, there's a video there, and I'll be able to see you, so I can press the button and you'll come live. So for example, if I press button number 6 now, and then slide this lever, watch what happens. Oops, nothing's happened. Why has nothing happened? There we go. Let's come back to that video we had earlier. And if I pull the lever back again, you'll see that I fade back to that. This is my own mission control pad. Do you like it? Do you like my mission control pad, do you? I think it's pretty cool, actually. I think it's really, really cool. I like niggling with my mixer control and sliding the lever like that and pulling it back. Fantastic. Okay, so what were we going to do? We were going to make a paper aeroplane, weren't we? So I've got some lovely coloured paper here. I'm very, very lucky because I have got lovely coloured paper with which to make a paper aeroplane. So let's have a look here. Move my tape out of the way. What colour shall I make my aeroplane with? I'm going to make it with green or yellow or red. Let's use, do you want to see something really cool? Look at this. You see this green paper? Look at this. This is really cool. That's the green piece of paper, isn't it? Does that look green to you? It's not green, is it? Do you know why? Because if it was green, you wouldn't be able to see it. I am just about to chop my head off. Oh my goodness. How do you think I do that? How do you think I manage to cut my head off? So here I am at NASA and I can... Wow, this is too crazy, isn't it? I'm going to tell you about that on Friday. I'll have to tell you that secret, I think, on Friday. So let's make a paper airplane, not from green, because that wouldn't be very clever, would it? Let's make it from red. Okay. So, don't worry about doing this now, because everybody knows how to make paper airplanes. And you know what? If you don't know, you can always look on the internet. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to press a special button here, and I'm going to make myself appear in the corner. Can you see me now? I'm lying on the grass now, it's nice and green. Okay, so there we go, piece of red paper. First thing I do is fold it in half like that. Now when you fold paper, it's really important that you get the corners really, really together, because we'll be doing some origami one day. And when you do origami, Chinese paper folding, oh my goodness. If you don't get it right to start, the next time, 10 folds later, it all goes wonky, it doesn't work. So start practicing now to be really, really precise. Get that corner and do really, really good creases like that. Now, we want to make the next bit. So we fold that down like that. You see that? So that's folded into that corner there. So that is right against that fold there. That's the important place, to get that folded down and into that corner. We're going to fold this one like this. So there we go. So we folded that like so. Now we have to fold it in half. Oh, you just get that feeling when it's just right, don't you? You get that feeling when it's just right. Let's zoom in a little bit, shall we? Okay. Maybe not. Chop my head off. So, now, next thing to do is to fold that down there, like that, and that down there like that, and I have made a paper aeroplane. So, there is my paper aeroplane. It's not a very good one, so we could fold it. Now, what I'm trying to do here is to show you that we can just keep changing it as much as we want. We can change it as much as we want to. And now I've made the body a little bit smaller. I could fold that bit there at the back, so it folds in, and I'm going to be creative, because it doesn't matter how creative I am, because this is how we learn. We learn by trying different things and seeing what works. And now look, I've got a really cool back. Can you see that back there? And I'm going to put some wingtips on there. So I'm going to fold that down like that. And if there are any paper aeroplane experts out there who can remember, realise where I went wrong, but I'm pretending nothing happened, it doesn't really matter. Look at that. Can you see? I've got little wingtips on it now. Let's hold it with that hand. Can you see I've got wingtips on there? You see there's wingtips here and here. And when I throw it, whoa. That is my first paper aeroplane for lots and lots of years. Now, today, I want to see if you can make the best, but not the best in the world, the best that you have ever made. You could roll bits of paper up, it could be an aeroplane, you could try and make a helicopter, you could try and make something, it may not fly, but it doesn't matter, as long as you use your creativity. Now, if you want to make the best paper aeroplane in the world, the fastest, the best, do you know what's different to now when you're a boy or a girl and when I was a little boy and a little girl? The difference now is that you can go on the internet and YouTube and search and Google and find how to make the best aeroplane. And that's what I did last night, because that, I read on the internet, is the best paper aeroplane in the world. You could Google that and try and make that. You could Google different ones and try different ones, or you could just make the one we've had. So let's see how that goes. Whoa! Oh, sorry. I'm not supposed to throw airplanes at Cape Canaveral. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I got a bit carried away there. Sorry about that. So, what I want you to do today is to get one sheet of paper. It could be scrap paper, it could be out of a comic, it could be from a printer, it could be any sort. I don't want fancy stuff, and do you know what? The coolest ones are going to look the most creative because you took a page out of a magazine. Don't rip pages out of books. Any paper will do. You could colour it, you could draw on it, maybe put some stickers on it. You might not want to make an aeroplane, you might want to do some drawing, and here's some inspiration for that. My favourite artist in the whole wide world is the man who did this, Keith Haring. Keith Haring was a fantastic graffiti artist, and this is all his art. And if you look in here, you'll see he's done lots of really cool animals. My dog is one of the favourites there. He's got some super dogs on there. Let's have a look. Oh, look at that. That's a bit of a poorly bear. It looks like the Gruffalo, not very well today. Blimey. And that little girl's got lots of eyes. Now that's creative. That's what I call creative. So you could do some drawings like that and put them on the internet. Oh, look at this man, I love this one, look. He's been watching too much television. That's what happens when you watch too much television and too much YouTube. You turn into a television. And over there, that man's, oh, look at that, that's a dog with lots of legs. It's like a dog and a millipede all combined together. And that's what creativity is all about. Keith Haring, the artist, the graffiti artist, sadly he's died since he did his artwork and he's no longer around. But he was a little boy like you, or a little girl like you. He was a little boy, and his mum and dad gave him some paper and pencils. And do you know what he did? He drew, and he drew, and he drew, and kept drawing. Like the boy who wrote this book, or the man he is now, who wrote this book. This is another book about a boy who drew and drew and drew. And that's The Little Inventor's Handbook by Dominic Wilcox, who's an amazing inventor. And in this book, he does all sorts of wacky inventions. So here are some of the things in here. So crazy, crazy inventions. And this is what creativity is all about. And if you were to go onto his website and do some inventions, Little Inventors, go to the Little Inventors website, he will look at them and he might, oh, there's some ideas about helping others. Look, that's a fantastic section. That's a chapter of inventions all about helping others. Dominic Wilcox is a very, 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 very creative man. And he's even left spaces in there for you to draw. And his book is absolutely fantastic. So I can't recommend Little Inventors to you enough. A wonderful, wonderful book. And if you haven't got that at home and you can't get it because they're quite expensive, some of these books, this one I think is £9.99, so nearly 10 whole pounds. Maybe your school could get it and you could look at it at school. I bet your library could get it. So that's Little Inventor's Handbook from Dominic Wilcox. So today I want you to make paper aeroplanes. I want you to put the pictures on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook as hashtag Rocket Kids Club, hashtag World Creativity Day. And I also want you to go to the I Love Art website and download this piece of paper. It's the I Love Art template, and somebody's already downloaded it and drawn in the middle here the I Love Art heart. Because I love art. And what we'll do is we'll print those off and let me just show you some of those actually. I'll show you how that works. Let me cut to that. I'm just going to put that up there for a moment because I want to show you the amazing I Love Art. This just shows you that we are making it up as we go along, but it doesn't matter. Wait 1 second, right. Everything's here somewhere. Oh, I keep clicking my mouse with my wrist, that's no good, is it? Let's have a look here. Okay, here we go. So What's Your Art is a campaign that we've done with an amazing, amazing artist from France called JD, and I'll tell you about this in more detail another day. But for now, I just want to show you his art. So this is JD and his art. So JD is a French artist.
Distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen.
Art is what we call it when someone does something that might connect us to someone else. I wish for you to stand up for what you care about. By participating in a global art project, and together, we turn the world inside out. And this starts right now. Yes, everyone in the room. Take the photo, the portraits, upload it, and I'll send you back your poster. Join by groups and reveal things to the world. So I hope that together we'll create something that the world will remember. And this starts right now and depends on you. Thank you.
Like that, so that's JD, JR, the French street artist. And Steamco, the organisation that's doing this today, has got an A in the middle for art. And what we want you to do is design I Love Art logos using this template. So you take the template off the website, go to the Steamco website and go to the I Love Art section or search for hashtag I Love Art. We'll put it on the Rocket Kids page on the website today as well. Download this template, fold it in half, like that. And get yourself some pencils and pens. I'll get some in my special cupboard here, my little drawer. And all you need to do is draw. I'm going to do this really quickly like this. I'm going to put some pink in there like that. And that's not good. That's not good, is it? Where's that gone? Okay. That's what I wanted. Oh, it's quite hard pressing all these buttons. There we go. Gosh, had a bit of a button panic then. So, download the template, draw a heart, and what you can then do is take a selfie of you holding it like this, and that lady there, over there is Susan Coles. She's from Newcastle. She's a fantastic artist. Do check her out. That's Malumba, our artist in resident, Dr. Spin. A little girl from around the corner here, and lots of people here all over the country who've done these. Here we go. It's quite hard pointing backwards like that. And all these people. So take the selfie, send it to us, hashtag I Love Art, hashtag Rocket Kids Club, hashtag World Creativity Day. Gosh, lots of hashtags. And we will print 3 of them as t-shirts and send them in the post to you to wear on Friday for the launch of the Rocket Kids Club. We might even get some of them printed up as posters and stuck on walls like this. That's what this is all about. This is all about creativity and inspiring you to be creative, to make things that weren't there before, to use your imagination, to use that muscle, and to make the world a better place, to make some money, and maybe make some friends, because that's what art can do. If you're creative and if you find your art, whether it's rockets or drawing or cooking or coding or painting or photography or fashion or football or even robots, this afternoon I'm going to show you JD the robot, and we'll make him move and wave and do cool things. So we'll have a look at robots. That could be your art. So today is about you and your creativity. So I'm going to finish now, and I want you all to go and be creative with anything you want, with the paper to draw one of these, to make an aeroplane like I've flown away. On Thursday, we're going to make things with toilet roll holders, just like that. We're going to do Art of Loo Rolls Day on Thursday. That's official hashtag Art of Loo Rolls Day. And tomorrow is World Box Day. Can you believe that? World Box Day tomorrow. So don't do any boxes or loo rolls today. Let's not peak too early. So thank you very, very much for checking out the first Rocket Kids show. I'm going to play you a little film of what happened one day in Yorkshire at a school, and I think they might be listening today. So if you're all listening today, Academy St James up there in Bradford, this next film is for you, to thank you for what we did with you last summer and what we might do with you this summer, because we've got a whole summer of activities planned. We're trying to get some funding. We've applied for a grant from the Arts Council. We want to come to you, and I'll tell you more about that later on. If you've been listening in Birmingham at Furs Primary, if you've been listening from Parklands Primary up there in Leeds, if you've been listening on the Isle of Wight, if you've been listening anywhere in the world, tell us, share your art, hashtag Rocket Kids Club, hashtag I Love Art, hashtag World Creativity Day. Thank you very much. I'll see you back here at 2 o'clock.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created. I have a dream. I have a dream today.
Rocket Kids Club, for all these kids to have a safe place to go and share and create with their creative carers. I'm going to share what Action Jackson hopefully would have done if he'd been on.
Everybody say, dream big. Dream big. Act now. Act now. Never give up. Never give up.
Let's just do some book stuff, shall we? This is the book that everybody really needs to be reading at the moment. Good Ideas, How to Be Your and Your Child's Best Teacher. What does collaboration mean to you?
For me, collaboration is everything. I believe that
Art is what we
even
call it when what we do connects us. So your art could be painting, your art could be photography, your art could be dancing, the art of design, graphic design, DJing. I must admit, your art could be fashion, your art, as many children are when I say this, could be football. The kids put your art could be baking or cooking, the big bake-offs when the most connects. Your art could be coding, developing games. There are lots of jobs in the creative industries, and that's what this is all about. Your art could be rockets. You could say my art's rockets, paper rockets like this, because your art could be rockets like this, Stevenson's rocket, and that's a BBC Microbit, a £12 computer. You can learn to code one of those without even having a Microbit, and we're going to show you how to do that, and we're going to teach you how to code JD. I have got on the line an amazing man called David Gilday. Are you with us?
So there are kind of two stages to solving this.
Go for it. No epic fails here.
Indeed. So this one is very similar to the robot you've seen before, but because it can see it reflected back from the cube, it can detect that, pass the information to the software.
So Rowan is obsessed with anything to do with wires or motors or anything that he can. The other day he wanted to make a crane, so we made a crane out of bits of wood and rope and stuff that we found in the garden and in his dad's shed. Ooh, I smell
Wow.
that and do it.
For all these kids to have a safe place to go and share and create with their creative carers. I'm going to share what Action Jackson hopefully would have done if he'd been on.
Everybody say, dream big. Act now. Act now. Never give up. Never give up.
Let's just do some book stuff, shall we? This is the book that everybody really needs to be reading at the moment.
We've had an amazing day today at Bridge Mary School. We've been doing our Aspire STEAM Fair, launching our new ethos in school about aspirations and about people's future, making sure our young people have the best futures possible.
Art is what we call it when someone does something that might connect us to someone else.
They've had a range of different events available to them, from higher education to STEM ambassadors, the Royal Navy, BAE Systems. We've got digital artists in as well. Our students are involved in launching rockets today, getting involved, speaking to strangers, learning about things they maybe didn't know about. They're on the South Coast and working with other people. Our Year 7s are really lucky. They have STEAM on their curriculum. 3 lessons a fortnight they have, promoting the arts in STEM. That creative thinking, applying that knowledge and understanding of STEM theory to create outcomes. Through creative thinking, thinking outside the box, and applying all that knowledge and understanding they gain within their curriculum. Our students have had a great day with STEAMco here as well, launching their rockets, learning about how to participate, working with other students in different year groups. It's been a great day where art has been at the centre of our heart and the love that we have for the arts of Bridge Mary School.
By participating in a global art project, and together we turn the world inside out. And this starts right now. Yes, everyone in the room. take the photo, the portraits, upload it, and I'll send you back your poster. Join by groups and reveal things to the world. So I hope that together we'll create something that the world will remember. And this starts right now and depends on you. Thank you.
Turn the microphone on. Thank you for checking it out this morning. Thank you for joining us for the first Rocket Kids Club session, a launch event. We're coming back at 2 o'clock. So go away and make your paper planes. Go away and do your Isle of Art logos. We're going to print a few onto t-shirts and we'll get those out to people so they can wear them live on the big launch day on Friday. Today is very special. We're making it up as we go along. I've got no tech support. I'm doing this all in here on my own. I've got 5 laptops in front of me, video kit I've never used before a few weeks ago, so please bear with us. I'm just a dad. I do what I can, and I can't stress that enough. I've got some technical ability, obviously, but it's not easy, but nothing without the support of people like you out there. Chris Tolson, head teacher at Academy St James up there in Bradford. Chris Dyson, who connected me with Chris Dolphin. Chris Dyson's head teacher at Parklands Primary. We've got Colin down there at Ralford's Primary in Amersham. We've got Tim over there at Holy Rosary in Burton-on-Trent. And we've got, oh gosh, who else? A bunch of people. Dave Shakeshaft there in First Primary in Birmingham. Everybody who said they'd do what they could to help us today. Dave Wearing in Cheshire West, I don't think their schools are open. We're trying to produce some content this week for parents, for teachers, for kids, for carers, for everybody to collaborate and work together. All this has been made possible by one organisation, LGFL, London Grid for Learning, Liverpool Grid for Learning, Leeds Grid for Learning, because they're going national. They're working with the government right now to support our schools, to support our communities with technology. And we can't thank John Jackson and his team enough. We've got a video kit, we've got streaming, we've got technology, we're ready to go. We're learning as we go. We're having a fantastic time. We really, really are. 4 things. Today, this week, is hashtag Rocket Kids Club. Tomorrow afternoon, we've got the Art Connect show, which is all about creativity in our schools, work and lives. The power of art, creativity, technology and people to inspire kids in their learning, to create careers, to fuel the economy, because it's going to need some powering, some fueling when we come back after this lockdown. There's no doubt about it. And to connect and engage communities. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing with the power of art. We're having all sorts of fun. I've got somewhere under here, I've got a mirror ball from Saturday night. We had a dance party here Saturday night. I've got turntables, I've got records. We are having so much fun here in the community lock-in. We are taking this very seriously. Obviously, it's a very grim, it's a very serious time. There are amazing people, the government, the opposition, health service, police, fire, teachers are all doing their bit to care. Every Thursday we clap for all those carers, as you saw in the film there. But we're trying to enjoy it, we're trying to entertain, we're trying to engage, we're trying to inspire. And today, hashtag World Creativity Day. What we're trying to do is use art and creativity to bring us all together, to inspire our kids to work as one. The Rocket Kids Club launches Friday. It's going to be an online platform. We're looking for 100 kids and their creative carers to sign up together. This is not a place for kids to go crazy. It's not a place for adults to be on their own. It's for kids and adults and creative carers working together. So we need to trial that for a couple of weeks with 100 kids to prove and to check the safeguarding, to check the data protection is all in place. And we're going to have some fun. Saturday night, as I said, we have the disco. So that's the Rocket Kids Club Art Connects. And in May, we're having a whole takeover. We're doing a UK art takeover. 1st of May, we're having a Parliament launch. Then we're doing a 2 weeks tour of Britain as part of the Voluntary Arts and the Get Creative Festival, which is supported by the BBC, I believe. And then at the end of the month, 29th, 30th, 31st, we're doing a 3-day festival. We're talking to a few partners about that, but it's going to happen because we've got what we need, we've got what they need. So we are going to be the epicenter. This is a people revolution, it's a people power, it's community and artist activists taking over. And for that, we're collaborating already with people like the Brewed guys. We're going to get parents, teachers, artists, creative groups coming together for an amazing online festival weekend, and we want you to be a part of that. On the screen behind me, you'll see a picture of Lulworth Castle down there in Dorset, because at the weekend I went down there to do a bit of DJing, or did I?
Get up, get up, get up, get
That's a bit jerky. Why is that so jerky?
Get up. Get up. Get up. Get up. Get up.
Where is everybody? My God, Chris Tofu said, get down to Lulworth Castle down in Dorset, bring your decks, 3 boxes of records, a couple of turntables because he hasn't got any vinyl deck. Nobody around. He said, drop a few tunes between the bands at Caravans Ride like we did last summer. So here I am, nobody around. Where is everybody? Let's have a look at the phone. You are kidding me. I thought the Camp Festival sleepover was at Lulworth Castle. It's only on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and everywhere else but Lulworth Castle. I've got the gear, I'm going to set up, we'll do a jam later on. Disco Dads, Caravans Rye Art Takeover. See you there later on, probably about 10 o'clock after the fireworks. See you later on. Let's give old Chris Toper a ring, see if he'll join us. And see if he'll drop a few remix tunes. A little hint there of the kind of creativity, the vibes, what we can do with the studio here. I want to take you down to Cornwall now to a little pop-up we did. We went down in Cornwall as part of our Art Connects 19 year last year, driving around the country with a little trailer with everything we needed to do pop-up creativity events. And one evening I was down in Cornwall, I saw a local guy who had a tractor, and I said, what are you up to? And he said, oh, I'm going to the Bude Carnival. And an hour later he went down there with some of our stuff on his tractor. We did a pop-up in the pub. And this is what happened that day.
Get your freak on, 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 get your freak on.
If you love it, holla at me one time. Holla at me if you want the wickedest wine. I know it's been a while, but baby, never mind. Cause tonight me, I give you the whole 9, yo. Satisfaction, a every girl dream. Me love to put it on, make them wriggle and scream. Me get a call from Sexy Maxine. She leave a message from me inside machine. She said, Venus, that's your shit.
People you know, me and Timberland been hot since 20 years ago. What the dealio? Now what the drillio? If you wanna battle me, then let me know. Got the feeling, son. Let me throw you some. People, here I come. Let's swap me when I'm done. We got the radio shook like we got it done.
Lifted me higher than I've ever been lifted before. So keep it up with my desire, and I'll be at your side forevermore.
So here we are at Bude Carnival, and I've just come across an absolute legend here. Only Margaret from the caravan up there at Northport. Margaret, what were you doing? You've got your brass or your gold. What are you up to?
I'm the president of the carnival. I'm very proud. We've just come finished carnival. We have had the best carnival ever. And it's been a brilliant day. And now I'm at the Brendan with this lovely van.
Yeah.
And
I've come all the way from London, and I'm at Notting Hill Carnival next weekend, and we're here at Bude Carnival this weekend. So why don't you come up to Notting Hill Carnival for an ease up with us next week? Do you fancy that, or have you got a tea shop to run?
I think I've got 2 shops to run. I will now.
Go get yourself a sherry, Margaret. Lovely to see you.
Take care. Bye now.
Wow, utter legend there, Margaret. Margaret's tea shop from Northcote Beach. Very, very special day there in Cornwall. As I said, local chap stand there with his tractor, but very special. This amazing lady here, Margaret, who was a pillar of the community. She ran a tea shop in her green caravan on Northcote Beach, just north of the town on the North Cornwall coast. That place was a hub for that community. People locally went there walking with their children playing, walking with their dogs. They just go and have a coffee. And she was the president of the Bude Community Carnival as well, as you saw there. Very much a pillar of the community. Very sadly, Margaret passed away last summer. Very sad, although in a way maybe she dodged a bullet with the awful horror that's been unleashed across Cornwall, the country, the world at the moment. We had the chance to go to Cornwall to do this project, to do our video broadcasting, to set up a studio there. But out of respect for the community, the food safety, the health security, security of that community who was struggling on their own, we decided to stay in our London base. So we're here from London, but much love out to everybody in Cornwall. And I'll forever dedicate that film to Margaret. Today, as we all know, is World Creativity Day. A very special day when everybody in the world, part of the United Nations global goals to celebrate creativity and innovation in our schools, work and lives. Creativity can engage kids in their learning. Creativity can create careers and power economies, and we're coming out on top, and creativity will get this country out on top. I don't care about expert opinions and judging and banning experts and not wanting experts. We need expert creatives, scientists, technologists, engineers, mathematicians, all sorts of people to get this country going again, to jumpstart our economy. And you watch, we will pull that together. We've seen how McLaren and Mercedes have been collaborating with UCL, how Dyson have used their skills and resources to develop and deliver ventilators to the health service. We've seen tailors in Hull turning their skills and resources of cutting and making things from material to deliver surgical gowns and protective equipment. Absolutely fantastic. This is the country coming together. We needed a jump like this, and I'm sure a lot of people that remember the days of the war times and how we were resourceful, how we were creative, how we came together as a community, and maybe we needed a bit of that, and maybe we need a bit of this. Nobody to wish this on anybody, but let's make the most of it. And one thing's for sure, it's creativity that will get us through this.
Hello, very good morning to you. Welcome to Breakfast with Dan Walker and Louise Minchin.
Yeah, hi Dan and Louise, is it? Yeah, hi. Yeah, we're down here in Somerset. We're running a thing called a community lock-in, hashtag community lock-in. We've managed to blag a bit of space under a stage off a farmer, as you can see over there. He's not using it this summer by the sound. Today, really important day, day one of Co-Fight 19. This is a campaign for all sorts of people coming together to fight the fear of the virus. We've set up camp, or we're setting up camp in lots of different places all over the country with what we're calling a content creation, and we're going to be doing hashtag Art Connect, celebrating the power of art. We're going to be running co-conferences, really excited about that. We've organised a thing called the Rocket Kids Club, We're launching that on Friday. We're going to be, and this is a community for kids and their creative carers. It might be parents. We're going to start off with the art of drawing, the art of Lego. We've got somebody coming in from Lego to do that. We're going to be doing an activity about robots. So this is JD, our robot. Give us a wave, JD. We're going to be plugging lots of books as well, not least our own book. This one with friend Frank up there in Liverpool. Fantastic. One book we're particularly keen to tell everybody about this period is this wonderful book by a wonderful man, Michael Rosen, Good Ideas, How to Be Your and Your Child's Best Teacher. And sadly, Michael's in hospital at the moment, so we wish him and his family the very best. And then in May, we're going to do a whole month of art takeovers. Hashtag UK Art Takeover. Festivals, parliament.
You've nearly persuaded me to give it a go.
Thank you very much for being with us on Breakfast this morning as well.
We now
so
need
there'll be
some
lots of
sponsors
people
to
watching
help us get more of our pop-up day drop trucks on the road. So as soon as the isolation lifts, we can take creativity out to school communities, families, and all sorts of people all over the country over the next year, building up to 2022. Which the government had earmarked as a national festival of creativity.
We're not allowed to advertise on this programme, but sort it out, will you? Just sort it out.
Right, so if you are thinking about taking up a new hobby while you're stuck at home, there's
So
one
there you
for
have
you
it.
to consider. This
Everything's possible here in the hashtag community lock-in. We've got the technology, we've got the creativity, and we've got a one man, just a dad, but I'm doing my best. But I'm nothing without you. I'm nothing without all of you. It's 12:30 now. At 2 o'clock this afternoon, we're coming back into the studio live. We're going to go to schools across the country, communities across the country, families across the country to see if anybody's made a paper aeroplane. I've already seen a tweet from Academy St James in Bradford. So to be honest with you, if 6 kids who are either vulnerable in any other way or kids of key workers, kids who are being cared for in that school by Chris Tolson and his teachers and the leader there, Donna, who's on duty today. If those 6 kids had a great day because I stood in a studio and failed a couple of times and had a banana for breakfast and have been on the back foot ever since, if those 6 kids had a great day and get 6 seconds of fame later on this afternoon, if that's appropriate, then fantastic. We can only build from this. And we can only build from this with your support. This is about the hashtag Rocket Kids Club, a safe place for kids and their creative carers to be inspired by idiots like me, but we're going to get some experts on, don't worry, to be inspired, to create, to make rockets out of pieces of paper like this, to make paper aeroplanes as we're doing today. Tomorrow is World Box Day. Let's do something with boxes. Thursday we're calling hashtag Art of loo rolls day. So we're going to be making things out of loo roll holders on Thursday, and Friday we have got an incredible day. 50 years ago last year, the Apollo mission took off and put a man on the moon, and that was made possible by a team of thousands, a team of millions across America, across the world. We know the story of the 3 hidden figures, those African American ladies who did the maths literally to crack the maths to get that space capsule into orbit and onto the moon. There was also another man involved in that space program, not necessarily that mission, but in later programs, in the Space Shuttle and the International Space Station. And we're absolutely delighted to say that we have a very, very special guest joining us here on the hashtag Rocket Kids Club launch session here on Friday afternoon, 4 till 6 o'clock. Check this out.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
To everyone else, it was just a light in the sky.
Tower cleared.
But to Homer Hickam, it was the future and just maybe a way out.
Coal mine's your life. It's not mine.
Universal Pictures presents the true story of a boy who risked everything for a dream.
You want to get out of here so bad, then go. Go! Yeah, I'll go! I won't even look back!
Sometimes you just can't listen to what anybody else says. You just gotta listen inside.
I'm gonna step off the limb. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
That's a film we made for the launch of a book that I wrote But this journey, this adventure for me, and the link with rockets, it might be a bit cheesy, might be a bit tenuous, I don't know. We twist it any way, which way we want, from rockets and space to Stephenson's rocket to anything about aiming high and aspiration. But this whole journey for me was started by my father, who found this book in a box of books in the Oxfam bookshop that he was volunteering in. Rocket Boys by Homer Hickam is the true story of 4 boys in 1957 who didn't want to be coal miners in their dead-end coal mining town. One October evening, they looked into the sky and saw a silver dot. It wasn't an asteroid, it wasn't a comet, it wasn't a meteorite, it wasn't the International Space Station, because it was 1957. It was the world's first satellite, the Sputnik, that the Russians had launched to spy on the Americans. The Americans launched a campaign to get man and the moon, to beat the Russians to the moon. And the boy looking at the sky that night, Homer Hickam, was inspired and learnt to make rockets with the help of his teacher, his mother and his father. The full support of his community. He learnt to make rockets, and a year later made a rocket that went 6 miles high in the sky. And this is that story. The author of this book, Homer Hickam, has given us the rights and permission and full support to take this story to every British school, which we do on our Rocket Kids show sessions. We do a half-day session in schools where we tell the story, we talk about rockets, we talk about creativity, we talk about art, we talk about tech, we talk about aspiration, the power of family and community coming together. We then make these paper rockets with a class, and we fire a dynamite rocket off into the sky. This has inspired a book which I wrote, The Rocket Kids Stories, which are 9 short stories about inspiring men and women that I talk about in that assembly, to read with your children at night, for parents and their kids to read together. Because the 3 greatest gifts you can give your children are: 1, some of your time to play with them, to read with them, and you've got no excuse at the moment unless you're flat out in teaching and the health service, and then I pity you, I really do, because you must be so shattered by the time you get home. The first thing you can give your kids is your time. The second thing you can give your kids is some stories, whether it's some books, or whether you just sit and invent stories, or read stories, or grab stories, or get books, or download things, or watch stories. Tell and get into stories and use your imagination and work together. Invent stories, get a piece of paper and write stories together. The third thing you can give your kids is their art. Because art is what we call it when what we do might connect us to somebody else. Art is the killer combination of creativity, technology or tools, and people. And a child's art might be painting or photography, it could be cooking or coding, it could be fashion or football, it could be robots, it could be rockets, it could be dancing, design or DJing. We've got to help our kids aim high, aim higher than high. We've got to help them find their passion. Let's call it their art, and let's celebrate that creativity. Let's get all these kids to look up high in the sky on any of these books to inspire them to be the amazing people that they can be. And if you want another book tip while I'm here, this is the most amazing book and most relevant book at the moment, Good Ideas by Michael Rosen, which is a story, sorry, not a story, it's a book about being your child's best teacher and also your own. You don't need money to be the best teacher. You don't need money to find time. You don't need money to tell stories. You don't need money to help kids find their art. And that's what the Rocket Kids Club is all about. But the amazing news is that Friday, Homer Hickam, the author of this book, that boy who looked up in the sky over 50 years ago, 60 years ago, that boy is coming live into this studio from the USA, and he's going to answer your questions. Homer Hickam live on the Rocket Kids Club here in the community lockdown this Friday between 4 and 6 p.m. We've got other amazing guests. We're going to do incredible creative things. We're going to be inspired. We're going to launch our online community, the hashtag Rocket Kids Club, a safe place for kids and creative carers to be inspired, create and share, a Facebook for families. We're looking for 100 people to be part of that, to be test pilots for that. So if you want to get involved in that, sign up now. Go to steamco.co.uk/Rocket Kids Club and sign up, and we'll pick 100 people to do that. If you want to win a t-shirt today, download the I Love Art template and design a t-shirt, a logo, and we'll pick 3 of those and print t-shirts. We're going to be doing this all the next month. We're going to be doing it all summer. We're probably going to do it all year, but we'll do nothing without you and your support. So thank you so much for your support and for listening with us today. I'm just going to find another video to show you, so bear with me just 1 second and then we'll cut off and get ready for the 2 o'clock show. I'm going to end this session actually with a video about a man who's made all this possible. Homer Hickham's been invaluable. He's been fantastically generous. He's a very, very celebrated, very respected, possibly reasonably wealthy author, and rightly he should be. His stories have sold millions of copies, and it's a Universal Studios film called October Sky. But one man particularly has stood by us and been an absolute rock to us, and that is a man in Leeds, a man called Chris Dyson, the head teacher of an incredible school in one of the most socially challenged communities in the country, who are all behind us, who are being part of the Rocket Kids Club. And on Friday you're going to see a mum, Leanne, and her son Rowan, who are going to make some things. They've already made a crane out of wood. You've seen it in the films. It's just incredible. That mum and that child are going to inspire the nation. Not me. I'm just the connector. I'm the facilitator. But I've met those people. I've worked with that community because of the support of one man. And this is the council leader in Leeds describing the work of that man. Chris Dyson, this is for you.
Parklands is an extraordinary example in terms of the work that the school is doing within the community. You know, the work that Chris Dyson has done to bring families in over Christmas, providing presents, all of those things. But the other point, and this is the thing when you go into Parklands School, is the work that he has done to raise the self-esteem of young people in his school. And they have gone from being the worst performer in maths education to one of the top nationally through the work that he's done with timetables in particular. I urge any of you who don't know about this work to go and see what he's actually done. And the biggest thing for me, being concerned about particularly young lads falling behind in education, this head teacher has made it cool to study maths. It is extraordinary how he has done it, and I think, you know, there are obviously other examples around the city of fantastic practice in appalling circumstances, and people really rising up and above and beyond what they're asked to do if you look at in a pure contractual basis. So we need to recognise that extraordinary work, give credit where it's due, but really reinforce our commitment to doing everything that we can to make sure that schools get the funding they need, that they're not faced with losing classroom support assistants, that they're not having to make the really difficult decisions that mean so many children don't get the richness of their educational experience that they should.
And what is the secret to Chris Dyson and his leadership, taking a school from totally failing school to outstanding in just a matter of a few years? It comes down to a number of things. It comes down to empathy, it comes down to respect, it comes down to love, it comes down to community. But there's a big debate around creativity in some circles of education, from one extreme to the other, and it can be a dirty word in some. Behaviour and the management of child's behaviour is a major factor in schools across the country. Low level behaviour is one of the biggest disturbances and causes for not just academic low levels of achievement, but for disruption and job satisfaction for staff and learning ineffectiveness for other young people as well. But Chris Dyson doesn't make children stare at the teacher for a permanent eye contact. He doesn't have silent corridors. He runs a school based on love, creativity and art. And Chris Dyson's art, if you ask me, is summarised by this phrase. It's an inclusive approach to education, an inclusive approach based on getting the community involved, getting the children involved, the parents involved, the whole society involved. Inclusion through inspiration. And this is a film we made with Chris, for Chris, but for the world, for other brave school leaders like him, so that they never give up, working tirelessly, selflessly and generously for our kids.
You know, Parklands is an extraordinary example in terms of the work that the school is doing within the community. the work that Chris Dyson has done.
Well, as you said, I'm Chris Dyson. I'm head teacher at a school up in the most deprived area of Leeds, Parklands. I inherited the school 3 years ago that had 150 exclusions, 5 head teachers in the same year, 5 different behaviour policies. Exclusions was the easy option, and it wasn't the best place to actually be. The school was inadequate, but the same team that have worked together have seen now we have no exclusions whatsoever in school, and we've actually started taking excluded children from other schools to bring them into our environment.
I mean, there's been a lot of talk about behaviour, especially this week with the Lose the Booze event. Well, we've got to be respecting everyone's different ways of doing things. I mean, for myself, I love Paul Dix, and I think this is one of the best books that I personally have ever read. But I think behaviour can be encouraged by inspiration, by getting the children to do exciting, innovative things through the curriculum, through the arts, through collaboration. So the key to the outstanding behaviour we've got here at Parklands is empathy, it's love, it's giving opportunities, it's believing in the children and giving them those opportunities to excel at things and to take a risk,
When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send the blood, gonna drown them out. This is brave, this is bruised, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me.
And it shows that you believe in the people, you believe in these teachers, you believe in these kids, absolutely anything is possible.
Yes, very proud to know and work with Chris Dyson and his team up there in Parklands Primary, the families, the community, Shana, Karen, Leanne, Miss Nolan, Miss Hodgson, and all those amazing people, the lovely Beth, fantastic community there in Leeds at Parklands Primary. And we're going to be hearing from them this week. You can be quite sure of that. We'll get Chris on the show, hopefully on Friday, if not tomorrow afternoon in the Art Connects show. Got a little idea there. Never give them enough notice, I'm afraid, because I make all this up as I go along because it's just such a roller coaster. Very, very quickly, the creativity, World Creativity Day is a global initiative, but I've seen a lot of it coming out of Brazil. So what I'd like to do now very quickly is just show you a short promo film of a keynote speech or a trailer for a keynote speech that I gave in Brazil from the Royal Society of Arts last year. And in fact, that car features in an advertising campaign for the British government to promote creativity to the world. And that's what we're here today. We're here to tell you in Brazil and other countries all over the world watching this that Britain is powered by creativity, and we want to collaborate and work with you and your education systems and your countries and your communities and your schools to spread the power of creativity, technology and people. Well, hello everybody down there at Bet Educar in Sao Paulo. I'm Nick Corsten from STEAMCO, and I'm speaking to you today from the RSA, the Royal Society of the Arts, here in central London. Actually, I'm down in the basement. I'm in the basement in a space called Rothmel's Coffee House. Back in the 1750s, a bunch of people got together and met in coffee houses across London and put a plan together to form an organisation, to start a movement of fellows, men and women, to make the world a better place. And it's now dedicated to the advancement of 21st century enlightenment.
Connection. Art is what we call it when someone does something that might connect us to someone else.
This is for people who want to connect. This talk is for people who believe in art. This talk is for people who believe in creativity. This talk is for people who believe in a future for all our children, powered by creativity, powered by their art. And this one was from a chap called Daniel Fernandez from a company called APDZ, who's your host on the stand there today. And he asked me if he might be able to collaborate with us and share the work we're doing with STEAMCO, and that's what today's all about. Because at STEAMCO, the non-profit social enterprise which I run and co-founded with parents in my children's primary school in London, STEAMCO connects our kids with their art and connects our communities with our schools. Worldwide, we need to be using art, creativity, technology, people to connect our children with their art, whatever their art is, whether it's cooking or coding, painting or photography, fashion or football. Every child should have a passion that they can pour their energy into, pour their aspiration into, and have a dream. It might not give them a job in that area. And
a campaign we kicked off when we saw the most amazing film that Elton John made with John Lewis.
That piano was a gift. It became a career using the gift of music and working hard.
And there you have it, a trailer for a launch film that we did at the Royal Society of Arts and Commerce here in London, in Britain, the centre of creativity, the global epicentre for creativity. So if you're watching here from America, from France, from Germany, from Australia, from Singapore, this is where creativity lives. Creativity is Great Britain, but we're glad to be part of the World Creativity Day. We're proud to be part of that. And as I say, I've seen that it's been embraced heavily in Brazil, and a lot of the branding and the creativity you see on the screen behind me here has been developed in Brazil. So in a moment, we'll come back to that talk, and I'm going to play the whole of that talk, which is about 30-40 minutes. So for everybody in the world who wants to see what we're doing at STEAMCO, how creativity is fueling this country, how we need to focus on the creativity in our schools, work and lives to inspire our kids to create careers and to engage society, then that's going to be following after this. But before that, I just want to finish telling you what we're doing here today. World Creativity Day. We're glad, we're proud to be part of all this, because today is World Creativity Day. It's a United Nations Global Goals project, and we're delighted and proud to be part of it, a classic open source project. Earlier on, I was at Cape Canaveral. I launched our Rocket Kids Club. I was absolutely delighted to say that, right, this is the first test launch. We're doing a test launch today, tomorrow and Thursday. Today is World Creativity Day, so we've set some creative challenges for the kids to go away and make flying objects, and we're going to be looking at those again at 2 o'clock. Tomorrow we're celebrating World Box Day, believe it or not. Tomorrow is World Box Day, so we're going to make things with cardboard boxes, fantastic. And Thursday, we have declared, is UK Art of Loo Rolls Day. Let's make it the world. It's World Loo Rolls Day. And we're going to make things with paper tubes because they exist all over the world. So we're going to make things with those on Thursday. So don't peak too early. Friday, we're launching the Rocket Kids Club with Homer Hickam live from America. And today, as I say, at 2 o'clock, we'll be going back to those schools across the country, in Bradford, in Leeds, in Birmingham, in Amersham, and everywhere else in the country where they're getting involved, parents, families at home. We're going to trawl the internet and find the creative work that people have been creating. So that's us, that's STEAMCO. We're all about creativity, community, and helping our kids find their art. So, launching Friday, hashtag Rocket Kids Club. So now I want to go back to the Brazil talk. As I said, I met Daniel Fernandez from APDZ, who was doing a big event in Brazil, and he asked me if we could partner and collaborate, and I said sure, and I did a keynote speech. I wasn't flying to Brazil in a hurry for environmental reasons, financial reasons, time reasons, family reasons, whatever. And Brazil, I know, is having a particularly tough time at the moment with the virus, politically, whatever, and we won't go into that one at the moment. But This is for Daniel, and I hope you're all safe. I hope you're all well down there in Brazil. And thank you for your inspiration, for your belief, for your support in being part of the creativity community, for sharing your art, for sharing your creativity with us here in London, with you down there in Brazil. So I'm now going to play the film that I did at the Brazil conference for Daniel last year. It's 25 minutes long. So make yourself a coffee, press the pause button and come back, because this tells the story of Steamco. This film tells the story of why we are here today, why we are in our creativity, in our community lock-in, why we fight and are active for the power, the human rights of art, because art is a fundamental human right for all our children. We believe that creativity, we believe that art, we believe that connections and community are fundamental human rights. And we stand by the United Nations with their global goals. We celebrate creativity and innovation today and its power to inspire children, create careers and fuel economies, and engage and connect societies. So I'm very, very proud now to play the video of the talk which I gave to demonstrate why we should collaborate for creativity within our communities, within our countries, and globally.
Well, hello everybody down there at Bet Educar in Sao Paulo. I'm Nick Corsten from Steamco, and I'm speaking to you today from the RSA, the Royal Society of the Arts, here in central London. 5 years ago, I gave a talk here talking about creativity and education, but not just talking. My presentation was entitled Walking the Talk. Show of hands for everybody who's watched a TED Talk or one of the RSA films. Go on, it's one hand, two hands. Somebody's got two hands up. Brilliant. Keep your hands up if you've seen one of my heroes, people like Ken Robinson, Seth Godin, Guy Claxton. No, not quite so many. Okay. Keep your hand up if you've done something about what you've seen. 2 or 3. A lot of talk at the RSA, a lot of people talk about talking shops and people who want to do well, but whether they actually do is something else. And what we want to do with Steamco is walk the talk, not just talk the talk. We want to make a real difference. I'm not in that grand hall today. Actually, I'm down in the basement. I'm in the basement in a space called Rothmel's Coffee House. Back in the 1750s, a bunch of people got together and met in coffee houses across London, particularly in one called Rothmel's, and put a plan together to form an organisation, to start a movement of fellows, men and women, to make the world a better place. And it's now dedicated to the advancement of 21st century enlightenment. This talk is being delivered to you from The Steps, which is a theatre within the Rothmel's Coffee House, which is available for any fellow to use anytime at no extra cost whatsoever, subject to availability. And I'm very pleased to be able to speak to you from here today. 3 or 4 years ago at Christmas, New Year, I had a package in the post, and I didn't open it until New Year's Eve. My car broke down, and I wasn't able to escape London for New Year's Eve, and I opened it and found that it was a book that had been sent to me. A very, very special book, a book called Your Turn by somebody called Seth Godin, which was a book designed to inspire people to make a change, to make a difference, to break free of whatever was holding them back, whether it was a job or other circumstances. I found that book very, very inspiring.
It's always about one thing: connection. Chat, email, Facebook, go down the list. They are about connection. Airbnb works because it connects someone who has a house with someone who needs a house. Connection. Art is what we call it when someone does something that might connect us to someone else. We can agree that Jackson Pollock was an artist, right? He was jeered and ridiculed when he started, in some quarters he still is. But there's also no question that people gasp when they see his work, and they go out of their way to see his work, and his work touches them. But did you know that Jackson Pollock had a brother? His brother's name was Charles. Charles Pollock was a painter, not an artist. He painted just like his teacher, Thomas Hart Benton. No one's ever heard of Charles Pollock because we don't need someone to paint like someone else. But it doesn't have anything to do with paint. Marcel Duchamp nearly caused a riot in 1917 when he put an upside-down urinal into an art exhibit. He called it a ready-made. The second person to install a urinal in an art exhibit was a plumber. And that's the decision you're going to make. Are you going to be a plumber, or are you going to do something that might not work? And it happens all the time. It might not work, but here's the thing. The guy who invented the ship also invented the shipwreck. And either you're in or you're out. Either you want to play this game or you don't. Art doesn't work because we did something conventional and predictable, and here it is industrialized, right? Art works because we connected. Everyone in this room has made it this far. You are already successful. That is not in doubt. The question is simple. Are you going to matter? I hope you will. Thanks for your attention.
So, are you going to matter? This is about art. This is not a talk for people who want to sell a few robots, people who want to sell technology, people who are obsessed with ed tech for the sake of technology. This is for people who want to connect. This talk is for people who believe in art. This talk is for people who believe in creativity. This talk is for people who believe in a future for all our children, powered by creativity, powered by their art, inclusively, privately educated, state educated, public education. It's a talk for everybody. And now's a good time to get up and go and see something else if this is not the talk for you. If you like the sound of this, I can't recommend this book enough. Your Turn by Seth Godin, an absolutely fantastic book. And the fact my car broke down that night, the fact Seth Godin sent me a couple of copies of this book is why I'm here today. So I can't thank Seth Godin enough for his contribution to everything we're doing with STEAMco. Airbnb, eBay, Seth talked there about the connection economy and how we're leaving the industrial economy behind. Nowhere is that evident than in systems like LinkedIn, which are literally designed, they're literally made to connect people with each other, whether it's for business or other social entrepreneurial reasons. I'm here today and you're listening to me today because of LinkedIn. Because one day I got a message on LinkedIn and I looked at it. I get many random messages. Some I can't spend much time looking at, some I think about and engage with. And this one was from a chap called Daniel Fernandez from a company called APDZ, who's your host on the stand there today. And Daniel and I met when he came to London. We had a fantastic conversation. He told me about the work that he and his colleagues have been doing for many years there in Brazil across education. And he asked me if he might be able to collaborate with us and share the work we're doing with STEAMco. And that's what today's all about. And we hope that we'll be able to move forward together and work with schools and school communities across the space there in Brazil, if not the rest of South America. So very, very excited about that. And here's a picture of Daniel and I inking that contract, if you like, drawing an I Love Art logo on a piece of paper and shaking hands. And interestingly enough, the location for that was a place called White City Place here in central London, which was the home of the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, talking about yesterday technology, yesterday communication, yesterday broadcast, but the base at which we had a drink, where we had a coffee, we signed some documents, very simple agreements, and agreed to collaborate and work together. A few years ago, interestingly enough, I was having lunch with somebody and they whipped out a magazine, actually. They were telling me about the amazing work that was going on in Brazil with technology, with coding. Raspberry Pi had just launched, and they showed me this photograph. And I was quite tickled to see that because I hadn't seen that picture before, but I was particularly tickled because that's my son. That's my son working in a school activity we ran where we first started STEAMco in his school here in London in a place called Paddington. And we ran a code club, one of the first code clubs in the UK, using the Raspberry Pi to teach those children to code, working with organizations like Google and the Raspberry Pi Foundation and Code Club and Nesta, a whole range of organizations that were focused on creativity, giving children the technology skills and the connection skills that they'd need. We made the front page of the national newspaper in Brazil, as you can see here. I was very pleased to see that as well. And it's been a fantastic experience working together. So really what we're doing today is within the event, the Art Connects 19 Festival, a festival of creative schools, work and lives, which is setting out to celebrate the power of creativity, technology and people, the killer combination. That's what we call art. Art is the killer combination of creativity, technology and people. And I'll come back to that shortly. You probably won't have seen this TV commercial down there in Brazil, but I'd like to share it with you now because it's been very, very special to us here in London.
It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. I'm not one of those who can easily hide. I don't have much money, but if I did, I'd buy a big house where we both could live. If I was a sculptor, but then again, no, or a man who makes potions in a traveling show. I know it's not much, but it's the best I can do. My gift is my song, and this one's for you. And you can tell everybody this is your song. It may be quite simple, but now that it's done, I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put down in the words how wonderful life is while you're in the world.
A TV advertisement there made by a creative agency called Adam and Eve for their client, John Lewis, which is one of the UK's biggest retail stores, featuring one of Britain's greatest exports, one of our greatest industries, Elton John, a singer, a musician, a member of the creative industries, which contributes £105 billion. That's about $150 billion to the UK economy. Now, we're a relatively small country, but that's a significant amount of our economy. And in fact, the creative industries is the fastest growing sector in our economy. So very, very important to us. I've been showing that film to young people, children, school communities across the country since it came out last November. And at this point, I love to ask the children, people in the room, what that film means to them, the one word that that film means to them. So I'm going to pause the talk now. I'm going to ask Daniel to pause this film. And amongst yourselves there in the room, I'd like you to come up with one word that that film makes you think of. I'm going to count to 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, when I run this in schools here in the UK, I get words like gift and happy and family and education, music, money. Money, that piano was a gift. It became a career using the gift of music and working hard. The word that I think of, the correct answer, if you like, the word that I love to see, I often get from children, is the word art. And for me, that film represents a very powerful thing. Art for all, something that is accessible for everybody, that is not the preserve of the elite in fine galleries, and it certainly deserves there, but is something that everybody can access. And that's what this talk is all about. The talk today is about art, what it is, why it's important, and how it might connect us all. And that's why I'm very pleased to be here at the Royal Society of the Arts. This book from Seth Godin was another part of inspiration, and this will be the last Seth Godin plug today. But this book, The Icarus Deception, talks about art, it talks about artists, and how important it is for us to find our art. The book, The Icarus Deception, you probably know the story of Icarus. Icarus was told not to fly too close to the sun with his wax wings. The version of the story that many people forget is he was also told not to fly too close to the sea, because his wings would get wet, he would crash. If he flew too close to the sun, his wings would melt. It's a morality tale to tell children, to teach children not to break the rules, to stay within the boundaries. But we've got to be teaching our children to break those rules, as long as it's safe to do so. We've got to give them the confidence to disrupt things the way they are, because we're going to need some radical solutions to some of the problems the world faces. Young people in their lives are going to need to be creative. They're going to need to be problem solvers in their lives. And that's why this book is very important, because it talks about that. It talks about finding our art and how art might empower us. So art. Art is what? Well, let's do the 10-second game again. Everybody in the room, could you please come up with a word, talk to your partners, come up with one word, write it on a post-it note. Art is what? 10, 9, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ring, ring. Okay, so when I do this in schools, I get some fantastic answers. It's very, very special. I get children say that art is magical, art is imagination, art is creative, art is messy, art is special, art is lovely. And then I have to tell those children that, because it's my party, I'll cry if I want to. I tell them that I'm going to answer it with a sentence. I'm going to cheat. And I cheat by answering that question with a sentence. We say, Seth said it earlier, art is what we call it when what we do might connect us to somebody else. And as I say, that's what this presentation is all about. Because at STEAMCO, the non-profit social enterprise which I run and co-founded with parents in my children's primary school in London in a place called Paddington, STEAMCO connects our kids with their art and connects our communities with our schools. And that's what this is all about. Worldwide, we need to be using art, creativity, technology people to connect our children with their art, whatever their art is, whether it's cooking or coding, painting or photography, fashion or football. Every child should have a passion that they can pour their energy into, pour their aspiration into, and have a dream. It might not give them a job in that area, and I know I don't need to talk to you guys in Brazil about how competitive the football world is, but if a child can have a passion for football, can exercise, can build collaboration skills, as well as develop other skills, then they're going to be worthwhile citizens. They're going to contribute to their community, they're going to build networks, they're going to make friends, and have a rewarding life. And that's what this is all about.
12 Days of Creative Christmas, a campaign we kicked off when we saw the most amazing film that Elton John made with John Lewis.
It's a little bit funny.
We saw that film, made our own, which had 50,000 views in just one afternoon, and that inspired us to announce in Cardiff the 12 Days of Creative Christmas Tour. We went from Cornwall all the way through to Carlisle. In Sheffield we stopped off with John Lewis, and we were delighted when they gave us a very special present for a very special person. In Bradford we were delighted to rock up the day that Jimmy Rotherham, the music teacher at Feversham Primary, had been shortlisted. I then showed the children a film of me and my dad and my first ever train set when I was 1, and discussed how my dad showed me how to use my imagination and how that train set was to me what that piano was to Elton.
I know it's not much, but it's the best I can do. This one's for you.
Today's been very special because I popped up for the 12th day to our friends up there at Parklands Primary and popped back into Mr Dyson's office and gave a very special present to a very special boy.
And rockets were named after the steam engine.
Now that it's done, I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put down the words. How wonderful life is while you're in the world.
What is it?
The train.
So, what are we doing today then?
We're building this.
Well, I must admit, I didn't think I'd be showing 2 Elton John films and songs in one talk, let alone the same song. That film was made after we took Elton John's original Christmas film, put subtitles on it and released it the day it came out.
And it had 50,000 views within an hour after Elton John saw it and retweeted it. On the back of that, we went on a UK tour, as you saw there, travelling from one end of Britain to another, showing that film in 2 schools a day, picking up a Lego train set in a city called Sheffield and giving it to that young lad in an estate in the northern town of England called Leeds in Yorkshire. A very challenged setting. That little lad wasn't expecting a train set for Christmas, as you can see there. But what was particularly special was that he came down to London with his family to help launch the Art Connects 19 festival. He came to the Houses of Parliament with posters celebrating his art, with his mother, with his father, with his daughter, and spoke in the Houses of Parliament at the launch event of our Art Connects Festival of Creativity.
To be the toughest, tough in town, and loaded with dosh all the time. And now I'm out of work, I'm on the streets, begging brother, can you spare a pound? I used to be a miner down the pit, digging for it every day. And now the closer shop, I'm out of work, begging brother, can you spare a quid?
What better song could we have for our campaign than Brother, Could You Spare a Pound? It's almost as if Gaz wrote it for us 20, 30 years ago. Gaz, tell us a little bit about the song, why you wrote it and some of his lyrics. I heard shipbuilder in there, we've got Sunderland shipbuilding.
Yeah, it was inspired by a Rudy Valley song in the 30s, Brother, Can You Spare a Dime, originally. And it was all about the Great Depression between the big wars. And now, when around the time this came out, I think a lot of my generation were going through tough times, and it seemed appropriate to sort of update the song, anglicize it, well, sort of make it our own, and we did an English kind of street version of it, and we still regularly play it at our shows today, so I'm more than happy for you to use this in your campaign. Couldn't go to a better cause.
That means a lot. That really does mean a lot. Because one minute we're at White City Place, which is an icon of regeneration, gentrification, whatever, and the next minute we're being embraced by the community. That means a lot, because we've got to do this together, you know. This is not class war. This is everybody working together. And as Charlie says, it's an entitlement for everybody.
An event like this is absolutely overdue, because growing up as a kid, I've been from a working class family as well. We've never had access to the arts. So we want people to be a patron of Steamco. We want you to, I'd love you to go away, go on the website, put £1 in and be a patron. Tell people, let's spread this, let's make this happen.
I used to be the toughest, tough in town, and loaded with dosh all the time. And now I'm out of work, I'm on the streets, begging brother, can you spare a pound? I used to be a miner down the pit, digging for it every day. And now the closer shop, I'm out of work, begging brother, can't you spare a quid? Yeah!
So what you saw there was the launch of our Art Connects 19 festival in the Houses of Parliament with that young lad and his train set, and with a chap called Gaz Mail, who has a band from West London in Notting Hill. You may have heard of the Notting Hill Carnival. And he had a song called Brother, Can You Lend a Pound? And we ran a campaign which was featured in the Guardian newspaper, and readers were invited to send us £1 to have their name included on that page. And this was also inspired by the RSA, the Royal Society of the Arts here in London, where we are today. Because when the RSA started, they had a campaign. If you gave a guinea, which was the equivalent of £1 in those days, you could have your name listed alongside all the other fellows, the lords, the ladies, the establishments, the aristocracy, as well as other ordinary people like you. And that's what we're trying to do here, to make this as inclusive as we possibly can. And it was fantastic to have that in The Guardian just a couple of weeks ago, a co-funding campaign, because we want Steamco to be a collaborative project. Steamco, the co in Steamco, stands for collaboration. This is the film that you saw in that Elton John advert there. This was me with my train set when I was 1 year old with my dad. That's a few years ago, as I'm sure you can imagine. And I've got a train set here which I often take into schools and show to children. They love it, particularly when I get this, this orange box out and I open it and show them a Clockwork train, which I'll put on the tracks here now. When the children see that train in real life, they just can't believe it. They think, wow, this is a celebrity toy, and we'll come back to the power of celebrity in just a moment. But that film, but there was one thing special about that film, and I love to ask people what that film was about, and I'm not going to do it now, but it was really about one thing. My dad showed me in that film how to make a bridge. In that film, my dad showed me how to make a bridge. And I love to ask children what I used to make that bridge. Some say my arm, my hand, some say bricks, some say wood, some say metal. But the answer is simple. The answer is much more simple than that. The answer is that I used my imagination. My dad gave me a gift and showed me how to use my imagination to make a bridge. And the point is that that train set was to me what that piano was to Elton John. That train set inspired me to be an engineer. My career, well, I went to university, I became an electronic engineer, making things, doing things, and I credit that kind of childhood, those kind of opportunities, that inspiration for kicking off that journey. Einstein said that logic can take us from A to B, but imagination can take us anywhere. Another critical skill that we need to be teaching and inspiring in our young people. I love to show them this picture here and ask them what this might be. This is in a city called Hull in England. Hull was a fishing town in the northeast coast of England. And over here on the left is a museum. Over here is the National Museum of Whaling. Well, obviously, we don't whale anymore. Whales are a threatened species, so we don't catch whales here in the UK and Europe anymore. And over here is the Ferrens Art Gallery. So I love to ask the children what this might represent, given that that's a whaling museum and that's an art gallery. Because for me, and I'm sure the intention was, that it's a piece of art that looks like a whalebone, that represents the past, and because it's artistic, it represents creativity and culture, because for that year, Hull was the culture city of Britain. But it's more than that. I love to give the children a clue. I flash this picture up, and suddenly they all realize what it is, that is in fact a turbine blade from a wind turbine. Because Hull is now the UK's centre of the wind turbine industry. Siemens have invested £750 million in building a factory to build wind turbines, sustainable energy, clean energy. And I love to tell the children that every once in a while, a man or a woman has to get in this boat and go up in the little door here and climb up the ladder and walk along these turbine blades, inspecting them for cracks. They have to walk all the way along that blade. And I love to ask the children who'd want that job, and the hands go up, and I say, no, you don't want a dangerous job like that. You don't want dirty, dangerous jobs like that. Those are the jobs that we don't mind the robots doing. And on the screen here is a robot that I saw at Imperial College here in London at one of their community festival days. A robot designed to crawl along that blade, inspecting it for cracks. And that's the sort of job that the robots should be doing. What we've got to do is educate our children to do the jobs the robots can't do. Because robots can't use their imagination. Robots don't get art. Robots aren't creative. Well, not yet. And that's why creativity in the arts is so important in education. So what's my story? What's this all about? Well, you saw me on the video there with my father, and that's one of the most played out little pieces of film, certainly in our family. And basically, this all came about after I saw this TED Talk, which I'm sure you've all seen, by Sir Ken Robinson, the most watched TED Talk, over 300 million views, I'm told, on various platforms in various audiences, on how schools can teach creativity out of children. He talks there about how creativity is now as important as literacy. And to many people, that's a very contentious statement, because people say, how dare you? How dare you say that creativity is as important as literacy? Because what they're assuming is that you're taking literacy down to the level that they have creativity placed at. But in fact, I believe that Sir Ken, as any educator, as any parent, as any responsible member of society, would keep literacy up here, but bring creativity to that level, if not a little bit higher. And if you speak to somebody who works with children with special needs, they'll tell you that creativity is more important than literacy because some children are never going to be able to learn to read. So Sir Ken Robinson, I saw that TED talk and that inspired me, and I found that fantastic with 2 young boys aged 4 and 6 at the time. The second thing that was very special for me was seeing and reading this book, a book called What's the Point of School, which I think is one of the most important questions we all need to ask ourselves, by Professor Guy Claxton at the University of Winchester here in England. What's the point of school? Well, once upon a time, our schools were designed to teach people, to teach children to sit still in factories and offices. As we rolled out the Industrial Revolution, as we rolled out the British Empire in our case, but those jobs are no longer required in the volume that they were because robots, artificial intelligence, offshoring of jobs are replacing a lot of those jobs. And that's why creativity is now so important, why we need to reimagine and evolve our education systems globally, not just to educate people to work, but to educate them to be functioning and contributing members of society everywhere in the world. The second thing that I did was go to a festival curated by these 2 wonderful people, Rob and Josie DeBank, with a fantastic robot behind them there. They run a festival here in England called Camp Bestival. And I went to that festival with my family 8 years ago and was really quite blown away by the creativity on show in that event. This tent, as you can see, is all about the science of music, and it does what it says on the tin. There are activities and machines and gadgets for making music. Camp Bestival is a very, very special place to us. We've been there many times since. And we went that year and thought, how do we bring this creative experience back into our own school? And that's exactly what we did. Now, the Guardian newspaper wrote an article about what we've been up to and said how that I saw creativity in the field and how inspiring that was. The headline in that article in the paper said, "I just talk quickly till people say yes." Because a very special lady, the head teacher in my son's school, Miss Woodford, she said yes, and she let us use the school for the day. We ran things called STEAMCO Days, creativity festivals in our school in Paddington. We brought many activities together. Parents and children made banners and bunting that they wrapped around the school. We made rockets and we fired paper rockets, which we'll talk about more later. We did spin painting. We had ukulele lessons. We had junk modeling workshops, painting activities, zoetrope animation workshops, improv workshops. Dads came in and used a machine to roll newspapers up, which they could build bridges and chairs from. We did coding using Raspberry Pis and now microbit computers. Science activities, built an electric car, which we raced on the Goodwood racetrack. We had fantastic publicity. We've been on BBC Breakfast, and as you saw, we've been in Brazilian newspapers and publicity all over the world. We were even shortlisted for an award with the Times Education Supplement for community collaboration very, very early on. And we packed everything up that we use on those days, everything you need to run a creativity festival in a school, in this trailer, and we now take it all over the country running STEAMCO Days. And 3 years ago, I gave my career up to roll STEAMCO out across the country as a non-profit social enterprise. For us, STEAMCO is all about putting creativity first. The power of creativity, technology, and people to inspire children in their learning, to create careers and power the economy, as you heard, which we're doing here in the UK with our creative industries, and connecting, engaging society. It's all about getting people to collaborate for creativity. We launched a campaign recently to call for creative people and companies to collaborate for creativity, to work with us to raise funds and to work with school communities to run these days, and the response to that has been fantastic. STEAMCO is in the business of campaigning for creativity, inspiring creativity, and actioning creativity, as you saw with the trucks there. In terms of inspiration, we run events all over the country. In fact, the first event was in Liverpool, which you may know is the home and the birthplace of the Beatles back in the 60s. A very famous city, a very creative city, and also the home to Sir Ken Robinson, who we saw spoke earlier. We ran an event 4 or 5 years ago, and just before that event, Sir Ken published one of his books, Creative Schools, which I commend to you. But at that same time, it was reviewed in the newspaper, the school's newspaper, the Times Education Supplement, by somebody who said that Sir Ken Robinson is a butcher given a ticker tape parade by the National Union of Pigs, which I thought lacked a certain amount of respect for somebody who was a sir. They'd therefore been knighted by the Queen. And it made me realise some of the pressure, some of the anger, some of the dislike to a lot of what we believe in when it comes to art and creativity and culture in schools, and realising that there is essentially a very binary choice amongst many, many educators, and something we'd have to pay very careful attention to. Other educators have said that Sir Ken Robinson should not be trusted in schools. He has Panglossian and dreamy ideas, and reinforcing these concerns. So our first event was in Liverpool. Our second event we ran in Sunderland, here with a young designer called Dominic Wilcox. And our third event was with Barclays Bank in the City of London.
Creativity to some of the most deprived children in the country. And what we're asking for is the opportunity for a STEAM Code Day at our school. This has been the most amazing day, absolutely amazing. Our Year 4 and Year 5 children are having an incredible time with a whole range of activity, coding, artwork, designing, a really amazing day. A year ago I was at Barclays Tower and we talked about this day, and now we're having it. And for children in an area like this, it is an absolute treat. The whole STEAM code, the whole STEAM experience is something that I'm really hoping we can make as an annual event now that we've got the ball rolling. And I just want to thank the STEAM Code team for giving their time and commitment to coming to Edmonton to support our children.
I'm doing some spin painting. Centrifugal force does it.
What has carried me is creativity. Creativity is not the monopoly of artists. You can be a businessman and a poet, you can be a lawyer and a poet, you can be a doctor and a poet. It's true.
I'm absolutely pleased that Your Favourite Story, the digital company, has provided a team of experts to support our children, and they have been amazing. They have allowed our children to have an opportunity that they wouldn't normally have, and now our children have real ideas about what is possible out there in that field.
When greatness walks into the room, greatness does not have to announce itself.
I've had a really fun day teaching children to microbit code. I didn't really sort of have many skills on that myself until today, but I've learned, and so have the children. It's been great.
Bonkers or useful invention ideas. You might be wondering what I'm wearing on my head. Well, this is a reverse listening device that I made from tubes and kitchen funnels. Okay, I've shown you some of my invention ideas, but I want to challenge you to come up with your own invention ideas.
The very essence of greatness is caught by young people. That's why they're addicted to artists, they're addicted to footballers, because they don't question their creativity, they just allow it to flow.
As I was sourcing opportunities last year at Barclays, Bill Watkins was there and he spoke passionately about creativity in the secondary sector. And I just want to thank Anne Palmer, head of Nightingale Academy, for allowing us to have 15 of her sixth formers here today.
We're from Nightingale Academy and we're here at Raynham today to help with the STEAM Code Day.
I'm helping with the coding and I really enjoy it, and the students know what to do now.
I really love the spin painting today. For example, you have some samples out here.
I just made a rocket and I can't wait to fly it.
One of the greatest drivers for our achievement here in this community is our parents and their involvement in their children to give their children better life chances. And today we've had parents and members of the community coming in to help us. A year ago, when I spoke at the Barclay Tower, I said creativity is a luxury because of the focus on the basic skills that we have to consider in our community. But what I also said is that as a community, we may be broke, but we're not broken. And that is showing here today. It has been a day to remember. And I would recommend this to anyone, any head teacher, any school in the country. Just go for it. You won't regret it. It'll be a day to remember. And it will, yeah, sorry, and it will, yeah.
Kate, please do another STEAM code.
Marva Rollins there, OBE, she's been celebrated by the Queen here and given an award for her fantastic work there. And one of the most challenged, literally one of the poorest school communities here in England, in central London. And the key things to take away from that film were the spirit of collaboration. How an advertising agency, a digital advertising agency called Your Favourite Story, paid for that school community to have a STEAMCO Day. They paid for us to go up there with our STEAMCO drop truck to provide the resources. They sent some of their staff along and worked with those children, worked with their families, and worked with local business people as well and local school children from senior school. Fantastic demonstration of the spirit of collaboration. On another event in King's Cross in London, an advertising agency called Havas collaborated and funded a day and sent some staff along to run an activity. And what you see here is a digital billboard that was designed by one of the children on that day, and that was the prize for the most creative piece of work. So, STEAMCO, that's what we are, that's who we are. STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art and maths is the STEAM acronym, but we're not about acronyms. We don't care for STEM, we don't care for STEAM, we don't care for these battles. We're all about creativity. And the power of these skills, the STEAM skills, to create employment opportunities for these young people, such as civil engineering, designing and building buildings. This lady here is a camera woman making nature documentaries. I'm sure you'll be able to convince a child that that camera is more complicated than using a smartphone to take a selfie. We've got this guy here who is a coder who develops computer games, and suddenly when you talk to children about the skills, the creativity required to develop computer games, then they're very interested. Up here we have an engineer for National Grid here in the UK who is involved in a high energy, high power, high voltage energy transmission. This lady here, a scientist, coming up with new medicines and ways of growing crops. And down here, a photograph from a place near where I live in London called NDE, Nissan Design Europe. That's where Nissan design a large number of their vehicles. The Nissan Qashqai car was designed there in that building by the canal near where I live. And this man makes cars out of clay and shapes and sculpts them, and then scans the data into a computer, and they're built by robots in the north of England in a place called Sunderland. And these are what we call the STEAM skills. And these are the skills that our young people really do need to be embracing to create opportunities for themselves and to power their economies. A national newspaper in the UK did a survey a few years ago asking young people what they wanted to be when they grow up. And 4 out of 10 of them simply said rich. But not everybody can win talent shows on TV like the X Factor or play for their favourite football team. So we need to help these young people and tap into creative ambassadors, and we call these people inspirators. And these people are real role models for our children. We have some people here on the screen. James Dyson, the engineer and designer, the first British person in space, the first Briton in space, Dr. Helen Sharman. Lem Cisse there, the most amazing and inspiring creative poet and the Chancellor of Manchester University. Dr. Sue Black, who is a coder, who's done amazing work for saving Bletchley Park and inspiring young people, particularly young girls, to get into technology. Martin Ware, who was an electronic music pioneer with bands The Human League and Heaven 17. Heston Blumenthal, the chef, who's an incredibly successful chef. And this man here, Paul Smith, who's a fashion designer, one of the most successful fashion designers in the UK. This man here, Tom Morley, is a famous musician, a famous drummer from the 80s, a band Scritti Politti, and he's now one of the world's most in-demand keynote speakers and facilitators for companies all over the world. And he gives us time. He comes in and works with us and runs drumming sessions for children and is developing an activity pack that can be delivered in schools by school communities. And there I am on stage with Tom at a TED conference here in the UK, a TEDx education conference in England. It's not all about people, famous people. I find this quite fascinating. We displayed this screen on a workshop we ran for some young children for Tomorrow Engineers Year with the Institute of Engineering Technologists. And at the moment I got that real car out to show the children, they were in awe because they'd seen the car on the screen, they saw it in real life, and they thought this car was famous. And that's the spirit of celebrity in this digital media world that we've got to tap into. And that's what the Inspiritor program is all about, whether it's a car, whether it's a famous train, or whether it's a famous person. And there are lots of ways that we can inspire our young people. We run many activities with our children, encouraging them to be curious, encouraging them to use their imagination and problem solve in scenarios like this. This young man here, Dominic Wilcox, is a young designer inventor. He's been famous all over the world. He was on the Stephen Colbert show in America with a gadget he designed to help you eat your breakfast for Kellogg's cereals. When he was a child, he went to the cathedral in Durham in the north of England and saw the beautiful stained glass. And when he went to university, when he went to the Royal College of Art to study industrial design, Mini cars, BMW Mini, asked him to design a car of the future. And his idea was inspired by that stained glass, the stained glass driverless sleeper car. That's been all over the world. And in fact, that car features in an advertising campaign which we designed at Steamco for the British government under the Creativity is Great Britain campaign to promote creativity to the world. And that's what we're here today. We're here to tell you in Brazil and other countries all over the world watching this that Britain is powered by creativity, and we want to collaborate and work with you and your education systems and your countries and your communities and your schools to spread the power of creativity, technology and people, not just for jobs, but to make the world a much, much better place and to solve a lot of the problems. Here are some of the crazy ideas that Dominic Wilcox has developed: the coffee cup cooling machine, the balloon that pops without making anybody jump. And here is Dominic Wilcox working with us in a school in Liverpool. His first work with schools was working with Steamco at the top of the British Telecom Tower in London and here in Liverpool. And we've worked with Dominic to develop an activity pack and use some of his resources from the Little Inventors scheme that he runs. And here's one of his activities being delivered in a school by parents. And at the end of that day, on a Steamco day, a mother came up to me and said, "I can't thank you enough because I didn't know my daughter had this creativity interest. I didn't know she had it in her." And it was this activity that unlocked that creativity and encouraged that child to use her creativity to design and to invent. And I was told that that girl designed and invented and made drawings every day for several months after that day, even though Dominic Wilcox was nowhere near. And that's what we want to do with Steamco. We want to develop more of these activity packs, connect with more Inspirators in the UK and abroad, there in Brazil and other countries, to inspire all our young people to apply themselves to their education and develop their creativity. It's not just famous people. This is an image from Tate Modern, an art gallery here in London, where they had a Matisse cutouts exhibition. And that exhibition inspired this simple activity where mothers and children worked together to develop their own Matisse cutouts and display them on a board. And we're very keen to work with more art institutions here in the UK, with more museums, to develop activity packs that can be delivered by school communities on Steamco days. Now, you remember at the start of this talk, my father and my train set. Well, my dad's 83 now, and he volunteers in a charity bookshop where second-hand books are resold for a charity called Oxfam. And one day he found this book in a box of books, and he said to me, "Nick, this is the best book I've ever read in my life. Rocket Boys by Homer Hickam. It tells the story of 4 boys growing up in a dead-end coal mining town in West Virginia in America in the 1950s. They didn't want to be coal miners. They had dreams, they had visions, they wanted to escape and make the world a better place. They had no idea what to do. And this is a true story. My dad said, this is the best book I've ever read, and I read it, and I connected with the author, and I found that that book is also a movie called October Sky. And as I say, this is a story set in West Virginia, in America, and here we are in England, about 4 boys who didn't want to be coal miners. They looked up in the sky, and they saw a satellite going through the sky, the Sputnik, the world's first satellite. And they had an idea. They decided to learn to make rockets, and with the encouragement of their mother, with the encouragement of their father, and most importantly, a teacher, those boys learned to make rockets. And this is a picture from the Universal Studios movie. And at the end of that year, those boys had made a rocket that went 6 miles high in the sky. And we're delighted that Homer Hickams has given us the permission to take that story into British schools, and we travel around the country doing half-day sessions where we tell the story in an all-school assembly. We then make rockets with a class of children and then fire a real rocket off. It's an inspiring story. It's not just about men, it's not just about boys. As I say, the first British person in space was Dr. Helen Sharman. And as you probably know, there's a story, amazing story of 3 African-American women in the film Hidden Figures, which tells the story about how they did the maths that got the American space program onto the moon. And on Steamco days, we make paper rockets. We fire rockets like this and with dynamite and parachutes, and absolutely fantastic. A fantastic way of engaging school communities.
This morning's session was very, very useful. Really, really good, because it got children excited, and if they're excited, they can then learn from understanding the key principles behind how things work.
It was really constructive and fun, and we really enjoyed shooting rockets into the sky. So it goes really high, and it's quite heavy on the nose, weirdly, and it landed in the tree, basically.
Yeah, we're passionate about developing the right sort of mindset, and this is really great for the children. They've just had a fabulous time, really engaging in the subject, really engaging in the science. It's been wonderful. Who's up next then?
3, 2, 1.
Paul bringing science to life here at Norwich Science Festival. Listen to those children.
This is the best day of my life. Supernova class, can we say our special saying, please? Reach for the stars!
So just one example of the events that we run on half-day sessions, full Steamco days, going into schools, taking rockets, taking robots, using the BBC microbit here. So this is a simple little cardboard robot from Technology Will Save Us, and it's just programmed to buzz around randomly at the moment. But you can use 2 BBC microbits to remote control them. Slightly more complicated robots, but still very old. This is very old technology. This is the Lego Mindstorms kit, which I'm sure you'll recognise there at the BET show. And a simple robot made with Lego that can solve a Rubik's Cube. And we put that in there, and it starts analysing it. This is not rocket science, that's rocket science. This is very simple robot technology. But using Lego, using simple coding methodologies and appliance of the creativity, the knowledge, to encourage our young people to use their creativity and their technology skills. Another very inspiring person which we use in our talks and tell the children about is this little lad here who grew up in South Africa in the 60s. There was no internet. He just read and read and read and learnt to code and went to America and dreamt of going to Mars. He developed his coding skills and helped develop PayPal, and as you probably know, became a very successful person when he sold those shares, $400 million. And he's invested that money in a space program, rockets that can go to space and come back and be used again. And I'm sure you've seen his films. This is one of the SpaceX rockets landing to be refilled and used again. SpaceX. He is concerned about the environment and solar panel company Solar City, and that's one of his companies. And cars is another area as well.
Why are we making electric cars? This is really important for the future of the world.
This film
you can see the chart
of the launch of the latest electric car in their series was a fantastically inspiring talk.
It showed the world they could make a great electric car. So we thought, okay, we're going to make the Model S. It was rated by Consumer Reports as the best car ever. A mass market, affordable car. So do you want to see the car?
So we show that to the children and they get very excited about seeing this car, and we ask them to think about what that car might look like, and then we show them what electric cars used to look like and what electric cars still do look like, and suddenly a little bit of an anticlimax. Because there are challenges to electric cars. They didn't have much of a range, they didn't have much speed, they weren't very cool to look at. So this guy who'd never made a car before made his first car, which was super cool and very expensive. The Tesla Roadster. He then made a second car, which was a little less expensive in slightly higher numbers, and that was the Model S. And the launch you saw there was the Model 3. And that's a very, very inspiring story that we tell these children. We talk about the Hyperloop system that Elon Musk has developed and is now developing with Virgin Hyperloop and Hyperloop. And we demonstrate and tell the children about the Hyperloop system, showing them videos of it working. But more to the point, we've actually built our own Hyperloop, and we take that to schools, a piece of drain pipe about 15 meters long, and we fire a dynamite-powered car down that pipe in the school and inspire them with people like Mamta Singha here, who's a young engineer, to encourage them to become engineers, one of the activities we run. And obviously that young boy there is Elon Musk. And we tell these young people that if and when they get the chance to go for an interview for a job or to go to university or get some work experience or an apprenticeship, that people buy people. Well, they used to buy people, but now people buy interested and interesting people. And what we need to be doing is inspiring our young people to be interested in the companies and the jobs that they go for, but more importantly, to be interesting, to develop stories, to find out about these things, to be curious, to learn and understand the stories of Elon Musk and Ada Lovelace, the woman who invented the concept of computing, and Helen Sharman, who went to space, and Homer Hickam, who made rockets and ended up working for NASA. And these are the people we need to be inspiring our children with. Very, very finally, I just want to tell you about the art project, the I Love Art project, which I saw when I went to Paris recently, inspired by a project from this guy, JR. JR won $1 million from TED Talks for his incredible artworks and his photography work all over the world. And he won $1 million from the TED Talks people, and he's using that money to print posters for people like us. The sort of posters you see here, and I have a whole load on the floor there. This person here is a head teacher from a school in England near the Glastonbury Festival site, funny enough, and we want to get hundreds of these posters of his school community, as the posters we have on the floor here, and this young guy here. We want to see these posters displayed at Glastonbury. We want to see these posters displayed around the country. We're fly posting them all over the country to celebrate the creativity in our school communities, and that's our I Love Art campaign. We're printing T-shirts and doing that in festivals all over the country. It's part of this Art Connects 19 festival I mentioned at the start. Check out our Art Connects 19 podcast. The very first one was with Matthew Taylor, who's the chief executive of the RSA here, who was so taken by what we're doing here as STEAMco and what we've achieved in the last few years that he's committed to help us find some funding, because we're looking for 6 corporate sponsors to fund a 2-year scalability and sustainability trial. We've done our phase 1, which was proving the concept and networking and connecting with people and raising our profile. Phase 2 is to prove scale and sustainability, and phase 3 is to roll it out. So we're looking for people all over the world who want to run STEAMco and run events and activities like this, and we're happy to talk to people, as we are with Daniel there in Brazil. And if you look at one book, can't recommend this book enough, Education: A Manifesto for Change, by a chap called Richard Gerver, who was a head teacher here in England in a city called Derby, a failing school, a terribly failing school. And he turned that school around by turning every day into like a day at Disneyland. by making that school an inspiring and engaging and entrepreneurial and a relevant place for young people to learn and for teachers to work in. He's now another one of the world's most successful authors and speakers and consultants on innovation and leadership and education. And he's going to be talking for us at an event here in London on the 11th of July, which will be beaming hopefully across the world and we'll certainly be filming, called The Art of Collaboration. And as the quote says here, it starts with you and it starts now. And I'd like to thank you for listening to this. I'd like to thank Daniel for inviting me to speak to you there in Brazil today. And I'd like to thank everybody, wherever you are in London, anywhere in the world that's watching this video. Because art is what we call it when what we do might connect us. And we hope you'll join us on the journey to help connect our kids with their art and our communities with their schools. Thank you very much for listening.
It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. I'm not one of those who can easily hide. No, it's not much, but it's the best I can do. My gift is my song, and this one's for you. Don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put down the words how wonderful life is while you're in the world.
Well, there you have it, the Steamco story, if you like, over a fairly long period. If I can stop that echoing. Why is that echoing? Is that better? That's better. Oh my goodness, so many buttons to press here. So thanks for staying with that. It's currently 10 to 2, and we're going to stop this stream now and start a new stream for 10 minutes, and then we'll be back with you live for 2 o'clock for the second half hour of our day one of our hashtag Rocket Kids Club launch day. So we're going to be coming back in the studio live and direct, wherever we decide to be, probably Cape Canaveral again, at 2 o'clock for 30 minutes, where we'll look at anything that anybody's done. I'm hoping we've got a very special guest dialing in. Anything can happen, anything can happen, so watch that space. The stream has just worked, I think, on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, which I'm quite pleased about because it didn't at 10 o'clock. Talk about the tech one other time, I think. So thanks for sticking with us. I'm going to press the stop button now, and I am going to, do you know what? I'm going to play that last little bit again. I quite like that little clip. Where are we? Whereabouts did that start, do you think? Round about there? There we go. Quite like this. I hope you don't mind if Elton John's watching, dear Elton John, I hope you don't mind what we've done with your song, but we've used it to inspire children and creative carers and businesses, communities, school leaders all over the country. And I hope that we don't get ripped off YouTube for using this. This is the Junior Vasquez mix of your song. Watching this video, because art is what we call it when what we do might connect us. And we hope you'll join us on the journey to help connect our kids with their art and our communities with their schools. Thank you very much for listening.
It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. I'm not one of those who can easily hide. No, it's not much, but it's the best I can do. My gift is my song, and this one's for you. Don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put down the words how wonderful Yo